Good evening, I'm Diane in Hong Kong and welcome to ViuTV News. Coming up on tonight's show. Government working to strike an MPF hedging compromise between Labour and business representatives. China's homegrown passenger plane successfully completes its maiden test flight this afternoon, though flights in Hong Kong and Shanghai were held up. U.S. House of Representatives passes controversial Obamacare repeal bill in major legislative victory for Donald Trump. Evening, the MPF hedging arrangement is back in the hot seat as the Labour Advisory Board met to find a compromise between employers and employees. Under the mechanism, employers can offset severance pay with money put into workers' pension funds. According to sources, the government is using the meeting to explain to board members the impact their proposals will have on public coffers. The government earlier proposed cancelling the hedging mechanism over a period of time, giving businesses a subsidy of $6 billion for the first 10 years of extra expenditure. But both sides are against the proposal. Businesses want to keep the hedging mechanism, while Labour representatives want the government to set up a fund to support businesses with severance payments. The Eastern Magistracy extended bail for 9 pro-democracy activists charged over a protest against Beijing's interpretation of the Basic Law last November. The 9 men, including key members from Demosisto and the League of Social Democrats, appeared in court this afternoon. No plea has been taken. They were charged with incitement to behave in a disorderly manner in a public place, taking part in an unlawful assembly, and assaulting a police officer. The case has been adjourned until July the 21st. Meantime, the Western Kowloon Magistrates Court will hear the case over the Mong Kok rioters on June the 1st. 10 men were arrested for alleged rioting during the unrest in February 2016. They face 14 charges, including assaulting police officers. The district court held a closed-door pretrial in the case this morning. League of Social Democrats chairman Avery Ng appeared in court for a pretrial review over charges of common assault during a protest last September. Ng and his party members were at the Eastern Magistracy this morning. He's alleged to have assaulted a police officer with a sandwich, which he aimed to throw at Chief Executive C.Y. Leung on the LegCo polling day. Ng denied the charge in March. Turning overseas now, and we start in the U.S., where the House of Representatives approved a bill to repeal major parts of Obamacare, handing President Donald Trump his biggest legislative victory, but setting up a tough fight in the Senate. Fred Katayama reports.
The U.S. House of Representatives narrowly approved a bill to repeal major parts of Obamacare and replace it with a Republican health care plan. The vote was the biggest legislative win for President Donald Trump. Paul Howard, Director of Health Policy at the Manhattan Institute.
I think that the Republicans are passing, a piece of legislation to move the market forward as they see it. But again, I think the Senate is where the game is going to be played most intensively, and I expect we're going to be having a different conversation in several weeks or a couple of months.
Healthcare stocks rallied. United Healthcare and Johnson & Johnson were among the day's biggest gainers on the Dow. Next up for Republicans, a tough fight to save their health care bill in the Senate, where they have only a 52-seat majority in the 100-seat chamber. One issue sure to resurface in the upper chamber, the treatment of people with pre-existing conditions that was central to the House debate. Dubbed the American Health Care Act, the bill aims to repeal most Obamacare taxes, including a penalty for not buying health insurance. It would also slash funding for Medicaid, the program that provides insurance for the poor.
And U.S. President Donald Trump and Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull hit the reset button after a tense phone call in February between the two leaders. The pair celebrated the 75th anniversary of the Battle of the Coral Sea in New York yesterday with a cordial gala dinner together. Turnbull was one of the first foreign leaders Trump spoke to after taking office. Trump had broken off what was meant to be an hour-long call after 25 minutes and later tweeted that a refugee agreement Obama had made with Australia was a dumb deal. Here's what the president said at the gala.
No, we had actually a very nice call, right? Good. Now the record is straight. All of those people back there. Thank goodness. It's true. We had a very nice phone call. A little testy. Got a little bit testy, but that's okay. We've had a very good relationship, and I'm very proud of the relationship.
Families of victims in the 2015 San Bernardino shooting have sued Facebook, Google, and Twitter for enabling terror-linked activities on their sites. Relatives of 3 of those killed in the shooting that claimed 14 lives pressed charges against the social media outlets, claiming they provided material support to groups like the Islamic State. The plaintiffs also added that the social networks provide a platform for extremist propaganda, allowing terror groups to tap financial sources and new recruits. Representatives of the companies have yet to respond to these charges. Overseas, elsewhere, Syria's armed opposition rejected a Russian plan to create safe zones in Syria, calling it a threat to the country's integrity. This comes after Russia, Turkey, and Iran signed a memorandum over the proposal in a move welcomed by the UN. Opposition delegate Osama Abu Zaid said they wouldn't recognize Iran as a guarantor of any ceasefire plan. He also questioned the accountability of Russia, as a truce deal announced by the country in December was largely ignored on the ground. The safe zones appear intended to be conflict-free, helping to widen a ceasefire. Staying in the region, following Mosul's liberation from Islamic State control, Iraqi officials say rebuilding the city's wrecked infrastructure could take as many as 5 years and billions of dollars. Sarah Hemrajani has more.
Rebuilding homes, businesses and lives. After years of Islamic State occupation, followed by months of fighting, officials in eastern Mosul are working out how to repair their battle-scarred city. Despite signs of hustle and bustle in the market, Mosul is suffering from wrecked infrastructure and a shortage of basic utilities. Local councillors are drawing up plans which include economic development and attracting investment. But there are concerns the money allocated by Baghdad falls far short of what's needed.
In 2014, we were allocated $624 million. Yet, after all this destruction, we just get $44.5 million in 2017. We're not getting enough support compared to the scale of damage and the size of the province.
But the feeling among these business owners and customers is relief. Many shops banned or monitored by the militants can now reopen.
People weren't coming here before because cigarettes and shisha weren't allowed. Now many are coming. Business is good, thank God.
The situation is very good. There is security and we are happy and comfortable.
Still, Islamic State's presence hangs over Mosul. On the other side of the river, its fighters remain holed in, defending the old city with snipers and suicide bombers.
And coming up next, the latest from the world of business with Pamela Ambler.
Hi there. Hong Kong ended a shortened trading week with 2 public holidays. On a down note, the trading volume was lower than usual, and taking a check on the benchmark Hang Seng, the index lost 0.84% to end at 24,476 points. Friday trade was mostly dragged down by global weakness in energy shares after oil prices tumbled overnight. Gaming stocks also saw heavy losses. Analysts remain cautious on the sustainability of future revenues. And shares of Ingda Gas were suspended from trade today. The company says it may withdraw its listing here in the city after it finalizes a privatization plan come September. Hong Kong-based private equity firm PAG has been buying up shares of the company since March. It now owns 98% of the industrial gas company. Finance ministers from Japan, China, and South Korea agreed to resist all forms of protectionism in a meeting on Friday. The members of the Asia Development Bank took a harder stance than G20 majors against the policies advocated by U.S. President Donald Trump. The trilateral talks were held on the sidelines of the annual ADB meeting in Yokohama. ChemChina has won over enough support from Syngenta shareholders to proceed with a takeover of the Swiss pesticides and seeds group. The $43 billion buyout's expected to receive final approval next week, marking the largest foreign acquisition that China has ever made.
All right, thanks for that, Pamela. Time for a quick break now, but coming up on our news, China's sky-high apartment prices fueling demand for a new type of rental home. Find out more about the break.